Knowing the Tampa Bay area and covering a threat from a hurricane from beginning to end, that's what we do best here at Spectrum Bay News 9. This is our community too. We love hearing people's questions and people's thoughts. We've been here for many storms and we know how people depend on us. Our number one goal is to keep you and your family safe. We don't take that responsibility lightly.
Watch the Spectrum Bay News 9 weather experts on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Your morning news, presented by Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealers.
Good morning. Glad you're with us. Happy Friday. I'm Roy DeJesus. Meteorologist Diane Kaczmarek has your weather on the 9s.
And I'm Georgia Roman with real-time traffic expert Tim Ronka. Here's your Spectrum News in 90 update. The Hurricane Idalia Disaster Recovery Center in Manatee County is going to close for good today at 6 o'clock tonight. If you need help still applying for federal assistance or disaster loans, you can do that at any other center. The deadline to apply is November 29th.
Tampa City Council officials are working towards finding a solution to the number of sexual predators in Ybor. Yesterday, city officials heard new studies from USF and Tampa Police about the issue. Council members will hold a workshop to hear from real estate experts and re-entry services on November 30th.
Bonnet Springs in Lakeland celebrating its one-year anniversary tomorrow, so there's going to be a whole event with family-friendly activities, petting zoo, live music. The park's going to end the day with a movie under the stars and a fireworks display.
Time now for a look at your Class 9 forecast with meteorologist Diane Kaczmarek. Right now, it's rather pleasant. It's going to be a nice weekend as well.
It is. We're not going to deal with rain, so you might have to spend some time watering the lawn, unfortunately, because we are in a dry stretch. Now we can see a little color in the sky already here in downtown Tampa, Curtis Hickson Park, and fountains are off, but people are already out and about at this hour. We are comfortable, still a little bit on the cool side at the moment, but as we head through the rest of the day, we are back into those low 80s. So get used to that because that is now what we'll see for a while now. As a matter of fact, our average high is still mid 80s. So that was a really cold blast of air. This time around, not quite as cool with our front. We'll be in the low 80s. We'll have mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. We'll stay pretty warm through the evening and overnight because a front is approaching. That front won't move through until Saturday morning. Then we'll get a little bit of a change. So we'll talk about that coming up in the next 10 minutes. Good morning, Tim. We have traffic going on this morning. A couple of areas now that are a problem, huh?
Good morning, Diane. Yeah, it's not been too bad of a ride out there on this Friday, except for one spot, and this is what I showed you during my last report, and that is going to be I-4 westbound a little bit slower than normal. As you can see here in our real-time traffic maps, we got a crash right at the 75 interchange. You got those delays back all the way to McIntosh Road right now. Let's go to one of our real-time traffic cams provided by DOT, and you're going to see what that looks like. We had a car go into a guardrail there, and actually a tree, a bunch of trees in the area there as well, power lines as well. So we've had a lot of activity. It looks like most of the activity is now off to the shoulder, but you do still have some of that slow traffic. We'll take a look at the drive time there for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Attacks are intensifying in the Israel-Hamas war. Israeli Defense Forces say they struck more than 100 Hamas targets in Gaza overnight and killed a Hamas naval operative.
Israel's defense minister told troops to be ready for a ground assault in Gaza, but gave no word on when that would begin. Humanitarian aid desperately needed in Gaza right now. U.S. officials expect the first aid convoy to enter the area this weekend. Despite an agreement to open the border between Gaza and Egypt, no aid has crossed into the region yet. Now, this is a look at Egyptian workers removing cement blocks from the entrance of the Rafah crossing. The entire population has been cut off from supplies, including fuel, food, and water for more than a week. The United Nations warned that 1 million people displaced are living in deteriorating conditions. The Gaza Health Ministry saying more than 3,700 people have been killed amid the fighting, including 1,500 children. More than 1,400 people in Israel have been killed since Hamas's surprise attack there almost 2 weeks ago, and roughly 200 people still being held hostage by the terrorist group. Now that President Joe Biden is back from seeing conditions in Israel, he's trying to rally support for $100 billion in foreign aid, largely to help Israel, also Ukraine.
In a primetime address from the Oval Office last night, the president said, in essence, an investment today pays for protection tomorrow. Our Kevin Fry reports from Washington. Time now 7:06 here in the Bay Area. We're used to seeing the Sunshine Skyway Bridge change colors, as you see here, sometimes for different causes and organizations. This week, it's been purple, and for a good reason.
Yeah, it's lit up to raise awareness for a grieving mother's mission. Her daughter passed away nearly 20 years ago, and she says she doesn't want what happened to her during that time to happen to anyone else. Our Angie Andrews is joining us live near the bridge this morning. So tell us about the deep reason here for the purple, Angie.
Good morning. So the bridge here, it's purple for Manatee County resident Tiffany Olson. Now, Olson passed away in a motorcycle crash back in 2005, and it was just 15 minutes away from her mother's home. Her mom was home at the time and says she wasn't notified for 6.5 hours because law enforcement just couldn't find her. You have to imagine how she felt after finding that this happened just down the street from her and that she wasn't there for her daughter at that time. So after that, her mom created TIF's initiative. It's pretty simple. It links emergency contact information directly to your driver's license.
Angie, thank you. What a moving story. Such a simple thing that can make a difference in those critical situations.
Time now 7:09, and your weather on the 9's forecast check with meteorologist Diane Kaczmarek. And those clouds are leaving our area, making their way for a great day ahead.
Yeah, it'll be a brighter day. We had a lot of cloud cover for some areas yesterday, but that whole batch of moisture is leaving because an upper level trough is deepening here in the Gulf. So that deepens farther, and that will allow a front to move through, and that front is going to come through Saturday morning. But since we're already seeing the upper level trough, it's shifting all of that mid and upper level moisture out of the way. And that was the high cloud deck that we had yesterday. So now we have drier air, which also means when the front comes in, there's no moisture to work with and no rain except for maybe a sprinkle. That's it. So as for our skies, we're starting to see a little daylight out there. Bradenton right now along the Manatee River, 63, but that dew point is 60. So a little higher than yesterday at this time. We are going to be seeing those dew points increase a little bit by late today because that front is approaching. We'll have a west-southwest wind in there. But we're looking right now at the current temperatures, and we still have the 50s all the way down to southern Pasco County. Temperatures in the mid-50s. Tampa Bay still in the 60s, but overall fairly comfortable out there. And our humidity is still pretty decent because the dew points are in the 50s. That is still some dry air. Now, not as dry as it was, but we got such dry air, even an increase in the dew points is still in that comfortable range. So that has allowed us to cool off this morning. But watch what happens. The front is way back to the west yet. So when that gets a little closer, we will see those westerly to southwest winds in here, bringing the dew points up a little bit ahead of that front. But notice, where's the rain with this front? Well to the north. All the upper level energy is there. Only a few sprinkles are possible, mainly late this evening, overnight, and early Saturday morning as the front approaches. But then that front does move through. So any of that increase in dew points that we're getting this evening will be dropping back down by later on Saturday. So it gets more comfortable. But overall, it's not going to give us that big cool down behind that front. Not the same air mass, not the big push, not that extreme pattern that we did have. So 81 degrees for the rest of the day. Partly cloudy, mostly sunny skies. A little more humid later, though. That air conditioning might kick on a little more often by the afternoon. Overnight, we only dropped to 70 with the higher dew points. It's going to be a bit warmer in the overnight. A possible sprinkle, and then for the day, we don't cool off. We're still in the low 80s, but again, with lower humidity, it will be more comfortable later in the day. So we are going to check out traffic with Real-Time Traffic Center. We have Tim here, and I think Sky 9's got a pretty shot for us.
Hey, Diane. Yeah, they do. They're checking out I-75 and State Road 56 for us. Looking to the north. Sky's looking nice there. Traffic certainly building up on the southbound side. But hey, it's looking much better than it did yesterday morning. If you were watching, we had all those problems here coming down on I-75. That is not the case today, but it's busy out there, and you get a nice overhead shot of what that diverging diamond looks like there when it's in motion. Let's get over to one of our real-time traffic cams on I-4. This is that crash I've been following for some time. It's at the I-75 interchange. Looks like we had a car into a pole there or one of these trees. Actually, you can see it right over here. Now we have a little more daylight. So yeah, car into one of those palm trees there right off of the exit. Now earlier we did have the left lane blocked. It looks like everything has reopened, but traffic's moving by a little bit slower than normal. As a result, let's go to our real-time traffic maps. You can see the drive time there is more than a half hour right now on I-4 westbound coming in from State Road 39 all the way over to I-75. Usually we're running at about 15 to 20 minutes on a Friday morning, so about double the time there. So a spot where you're going to want to give yourself a few extra minutes today. Here's a bigger picture look at I-4. So you have all this traffic from that crash, and then over here near Thanodasassa Road and State Road 39, just going to be some of your usual rush hour traffic. But the longer that delay is around, it's just going to continue to head further to the east there. We'll have an update on how things are looking in Tampa in just a few minutes. This report brought to you by your Suncoast Hyundai dealers.
Covering a threat from a hurricane from beginning to end, that's what we do best here at Spectrum Bay News 9. And we've been here for many storms, and we know people depend on us.
Watch the Spectrum Bay News 9 weather experts on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
Of Spectrum Bay News 9 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Numbers.
Continuing our coverage on the vote for the next House Speaker, Congressman Jim Jordan is hoping the third time will be a charm today.
The Ohio Republican is planning to hold a news conference this morning. He spent much of yesterday trying to secure votes to support today's bid. However, some Republicans are already thinking about other options.
The Bay Area School is putting an emphasis on healthy lives. Still to come in Your Health, one student shares how the program is helping him do better on the field and in class.
It is now 7:18. I'm Tim Ronca in the Real-Time Traffic Center. Continuing to follow what's happening on I-4 westbound right now. You can see here one of our real-time traffic cameras, all those flashing lights. There's actually a car there to the left went into a palm tree. Hopefully everyone is okay. But earlier we had the left lane blocked here. This is the interchange to I-75, and that really caused a lot of traffic. As you can see here on our real-time traffic data, we are showing about a half-hour drive time right now on I-4 westbound as you head towards 75 coming from State Road 39. Usually on a Friday morning it's closer to about 20 minutes. So give yourself a few extra minutes if you're heading on that westbound direction. US 92 is always an alternate for you as well. Let's go over to Pinellas County. I want to check out a camera on I-275. This is going to be a crash at 38th Avenue North, one of our real-time traffic cams. You can see the right lane is partially blocked there. A little bit of traffic starting to build up as a result. It looks like we have another cruiser getting on scene there as well. And that will naturally slow down some of that traffic coming out of downtown, heading up towards the Howard Franklin Bridge. We'll have an update on how I-4 is looking coming up at 7:30. This report brought to you by your Suncoast Hyundai dealers.
I'm just Diane Katchmarek. We're taking a look at the moisture in the atmosphere. We certainly haven't had much, and we haven't seen much for rain. Well, this is why we go to our mid-levels, and this is the dry air on the scale here. The moisture is way down to the south. South Florida, the Keys. That's as far as it is. So then it moves away. The front pushes that out of the way, so the little tiny bit of moisture that we have could possibly give us a sprinkle by this evening, and that's our best chance for rain because here we are through the weekend into Monday, Tuesday. Nowhere in the state until about Wednesday do we see a little moisture in South Florida. So this is a really dry pattern that we're in again. That last front is what really pushed the moisture too far south to grab it again. It returns way back into Texas, so nothing is nearby. So you probably will need to water the lawn. Look at our rain chances here. I put in that 10% today because we could see a sprinkle this evening. It's really less than 10%, but a sprinkle, and that's more than we would see over the next several days. And look, the whole state is dry. Your marine forecast, mostly sunny, a few clouds in the sky, northwest to west, about 8 to 16 knots. Wind speeds are going to ramp up as we head to the late afternoon and evening. That's when the increase will be there. The morning is quiet and calm. The front is approaching. Yes, another front. It's a weak one, but it will stir up the Gulf, and tomorrow our winds will be high over the Gulf too. So we're looking at our temperatures, and we're back into those low 80s, but it's an onshore wind, so we'll see lower temperatures at our coast. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies, and again, maybe a sprinkle by the time we get to this evening. So now looking at the next 7 days, temperatures stay in the 80s, even with a front coming through. The front is not going to be changing our temperatures, not in the afternoons anyway, but it will drop the dew points back down, which, by the way, will go up this evening. So as for our low temperatures, still a little high Saturday morning because of the high dew points. Front comes through early in the morning. And then our temperatures in the morning can drop off a little bit because the humidity comes back down. But overall, temperatures start moving up, getting back to above normal, but at least the humidity looks like it will be decent all the way through Thursday. Winds will increase on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Watching your morning news on Spectrum Bay News 9 and your health news. Bradenton's IMG Academy is in the running to be recognized as one of the top schools in the world for developing a curriculum that supports healthy lives.
We spoke with an international student athlete who says the program helped him grow both athletically and academically. Spectrum Bay News 9's Julia Hazel has his story.
Now, IMG Academy is the only school in the country being considered for this honor. The school will learn if it's earned the #1 spot on November 4th.
And for more of your health news anytime, just visit our website, baynews9.com.
News presented by Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealers.
Good morning. We're glad you're starting your Friday with us. I'm Georgia Roman here with real-time traffic expert Tim Ronka.
Meteorologist Diane Kaczmarek will have your weather on the 9s here in a bit. I'm Rita Jesus. This is your Spectrum News in 90. The Skyway Bridge will light up purple all weekend long to raise awareness of the TIF initiative. TIF stands for To Inform Families First and creates a way for emergency contacts to be added to driver's license information. It was created by a grieving mom after her daughter was killed in a motorcycle crash.
The second annual Tampa Bay Criminal Justice Summit is back. This year's event includes a simulator that shows some of the challenges people face when they get out of jail and return to normal life. The summit starts tomorrow with a panel talking about criminal justice reform. It's being held at the Barrymore Hotel in Tampa.
Keep Manatee Beautiful and the City of Holmes Beach are holding a volunteer event to help restore sea oats lost during Hurricane Idalia. Keep Manatee Beautiful says it needs up to 50 volunteers for the event. It's happening tomorrow, starting at 8 o'clock at the 52nd Street entrance to Holmes Beach.
Those are some of the stories we're following for you. Let's get a check of your forecast. It's going to be a nice Friday.
Yeah, actually nice all the way through the weekend for that matter, because we'll have plenty of sunshine. Temperatures, though, are going to be climbing. Thought we were talking about a cold front. Well, it's not going to bring us colder air. It will drop the dew point. So let's look at the beach here initially. We're talking about temperatures moving from the 70s this morning up to around 79 to 80. Now, remember the water temperature right now is only 76, so with that onshore wind, it'll be tough to warm up too much at the beach. You'll walk a little closer to the water and you'll notice the temperatures are a bit lower, but mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, so no rain to deal with if you want to head to the beach. So at least we have a warm enough air to deal with that cooler water. We'll have a trend over the weekend with higher temperatures, but we'll talk about what that cold front will do coming up in the next 10 minutes. Tim Ronka is here in the real-time traffic center, and hopefully we're having our Friday quiet weather.
Good morning, Diane. Yeah, so far it's not too bad out there other than a couple of incidents going on, but I do want to start with the Gandy Bridge from Sky 9. Beautiful shot. They are making their way actually into St. Petersburg right now, and you can see traffic's pretty light there in both directions, at least here on the Pinellas County end of the Gandy Bridge. I just checked our cameras on the other bridges, and so far you're looking great. For taking the Howard Franklin, the Courtney Campbell, and the Gandy, as you can see here, things are looking good. I do want to go to I-4, though, where I've been following this crash. This has been a problem near the I-75 interchange. You can actually see we had a car crash into one of the trees here. So tow truck is now on scene, but this traffic has really created some issues on I-4. We'll take a look at what's happening there for you coming up in just a few minutes.
There's a lot to celebrate at Bonnet Springs Park in Lakeland this weekend. The park welcomed more than 1 million visitors during its first year.
Tomorrow, they'll have a birthday bash to celebrate their success. Joining us live now to show us how far the park has come is Spectrum Bay News 9's Jason Lanning. Good morning, Jason.
Roy and Georgia, good morning to you. Hard to believe where we're standing right now. Used to be an abandoned rail yard. Bonnet Springs Park is celebrating its first anniversary this weekend with a big birthday bash. Even after this place opened a year ago, they've been working hard on making additions.
Destination Space News now. NASA says the crew for the Artemis 2 mission is continuing to train for their trip around the moon. The scheduled launch is still more than a year away, but we're getting a better idea of what kind of training the crew members are going through. In addition to a dry run of launch day for all 4 astronauts, over the last month, NASA says 2 crew members, Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen, also took part in geology training. The Artemis mission won't land on the moon, but NASA says the training will prepare them for lunar observations. Up next, NASA says the astronauts will begin orbit operations training, which includes a simulator at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas.
And we could see a record-breaking launch from our Space Coast this weekend. SpaceX is aiming for a launch of its next group of Starlink satellites tomorrow. They are set to go up from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station on board a Falcon 9 rocket. The company's last Starlink launch was the 57th overall mission to take off from our Space Coast this year, tying for the most launches in a year. The next one would break that record.
This Feel Good Friday, we're talking about how far a positive outlook can take you.
I sat down with Julie Edelman, a local breast cancer survivor, an amazing woman, and she told me about how humor got her through her cancer fight. And as you just heard, Julie is stressing the importance of mammograms. Today is a good reminder, as it's National Get a Mammogram Day. If you have a feel-good story to share, send it our way. We have a link, baynews9.com/good news.
The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission just released its winners of the 2023 Lionfish Challenge. FWC gave us these pictures of the winners. Bay Beaufort was crowned the Lionfish King for catching more than 1,500 lionfish, and Jerry Butler was crowned first place commercial champion for catching more than 1,200 pounds of lionfish. FWC says it was a record-breaking year for the challenge to root out the invasive fish. More than 30,000 lionfish were caught. That's 5,000 more than last year.
Just about 7:39 now for your weather on the 9s with meteorologist Diane Kaczmarek. Now, Diane, we have a live look at Tampa. Here comes the sun, and we'll get a lot of it today.
Yeah, you can see that where we have just that low cloud deck way down to our south and east, and up above, we've got blue. So we're going to be seeing that sun heat us up too. We're starting out here at 64 degrees in Tampa, but you know, that dew point is still pretty comfortable in the upper 50s. So we're at least enjoying the fact that we have decent humidity. But keep in mind by later this afternoon, that dew point is going to be increasing. So right now we're looking at temperatures that are in the 50s, just like yesterday morning, all the way from Citrus, Hernando, and Pasco counties. And then from Pinellas, Hillsborough, Polk County, and south, it's dew points in the 60s. These dew points and temperatures are going to move up for the day. And so with the dew points moving up, temperatures moving up, it's going to feel warmer for today. So we're looking here now at the dew points, 60s down to the south, just like our temperatures are this morning. And those dew points increase. And that means more humidity, feeling warmer. And yes, you see that jump. Why does it move up? Well, the front isn't moving through here until Saturday morning. So ahead of the front, we have a west-southwest wind that brings the higher dew points in here. Now, we're not getting into the 70s for dew points, so not extreme, just a little increase, and then we'll see that go back down whenever we get to behind the front, which is going to be Saturday afternoon. So here we are looking at those dew points, which will drop off. and then stay decent. I mean, not as low as it's been, but stay decent behind that front all the way through the middle of the week. But the afternoon temperatures are going to be moving up. That front is not bringing colder air, just a little drier air. So our forecast for you for the rest of the day, we get to about 81 degrees. It'll be cooler near the coast because of an onshore wind. And through this evening, a chance for a couple of sprinkles as that front approaches. That's it. Boy, we could use the rain that's here. Farther north along that front, a lot of rainfall around the Great Lakes and into New England. Notice the rain just keeps rolling around that low into Saturday morning. Into Saturday afternoon, they're still getting very heavy rain, potential for some flash flooding in those areas. And here we are, and we'll be lucky to get a sprinkle even in the next 7 days. So we'll get caught up on the tropics in the next 10 minutes. In the meantime, we're heading to the real-time traffic center. And Tim, it looks like we're getting some spots that are getting a little busy.
That's right, Diane. Even on a Friday, you got to talk about some delays out there, even though when things are lighter than normal. Going over to Sky 9, they're checking out a crash for us along 22nd Avenue North, approaching 58th Street on the westbound side. A couple seconds ago, there was a fire truck there. They just pulled away, but you do still have some activity there. Right in the middle of the roadway, looks like at least one car involved, a couple of police cars on scene of that one. So we are seeing a delay here in both directions, particularly though on that westbound side heading towards 58th Street. Let's go to one of our real-time traffic cameras on I-4. This is going to be in Polk County, and no surprise here, there's slow traffic on the eastbound side as you make your way towards Osceola County. But take a look at this right up here, some flashing lights. That is a crash that is on the left side of the roadway there, and it is adding to some of these eastbound delays. And earlier it was blocking the lane. If we go to one of our real-time traffic maps in Polk County, I can show you what that delay looks like right there, and you can see approaching US 27, very slow there on that eastbound side of I-4. Rest of I-4 in Polk County, though, is looking great. Of course, that's going to change for you once you get closer to Tampa, where we still have these delays from that earlier crash I was showing you during my last report over by I-75. That is now off to the side, thankfully, but on that interchange there, it's added to some of the delays near Mango Road and then back almost towards McIntosh Road. We'll have an update on how things are looking in Pinellas County in just a few minutes. This report brought to you by your Suncoast Hyundai dealers.
Informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app. Our morning and evening briefings, weather forecasts, and local stories keep you connected to your community wherever you are. The Spectrum News app, your community connection. Available on the App Store or Google Play.
We adjust. We learn. Explore. Relax. And grow together so we're ready to build a better tomorrow. Stay informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
I'm Mike Cairns, and this is your Sports Minute, brought to you by Spectrum One.
I'm Randy Roush with Florida on a Tankful, hanging with some amazing and talented musicians who play the kind of music you actually know some of the words, and they do it all by candlelight. Wait till you see these people. I'll have that story coming up next.
It is now 7:47. I'm Tim Ronca in the Real-Time Traffic Center. Hope you're having a nice Friday morning so far. If you're heading out east this morning, want to update you on what's happening here on I-4. You can see we've got all that traffic there on the eastbound side after US 27 heading towards Osceola County. Have a crash there on the shoulder, and that is what is adding to some of the backups there. So if we take a look at our real-time traffic maps, you can see what some of that traffic looks like. Just all that red approaching US 27 as you make your way towards Osceola. Rest of I-4 not looking too bad until you get into Hillsborough, and we'll have more on that for you coming up in just a second. Let's go over to Sky 9. They're checking out a crash. We actually showed you this earlier on this morning along 30th Avenue, and this is actually involving a car that went into what appears to be a creek or some sort of water that's in the area here. They're going to zoom in and show you what is happening there. We've had a lot of activity from that car being there, and so the road still remains closed. And as they zoom in, you're going to see that car there that is off the side of like the small bridge that is in that area. So avoid that intersection if you're able to, if you're heading out in the next few minutes. And now let's go back over to our real-time traffic maps. Just want to update you on what's happening there in Pinellas County. We have a little bit of traffic on the northbound side of 275, but actually looks like it's cleared up here live after 38th Avenue North from that earlier crash. Just some partial lane blockage there heading northbound towards the Howard Franklin Bridge. We'll have an update on I-4 in Tampa coming up at 8 o'clock. This report brought to you by your Suncoast Hyundai dealers.
Meteorologist Diane Katchmarek. It's time to check in on the tropics. Yes, it is still hurricane season, but no, nothing is nearby for us. But we do have Tropical Storm Tammy, and that one is going to impact the islands in the Caribbean. Notice how close it is already and is expected to brush by and start getting a little stronger. Right now there's wind shear impacting it, but getting a little stronger and then moving by more of the islands, staying east of Puerto Rico though, and then turning north and away from the U.S. So we have a big upper level trough coming off the east coast that will steer it eastward. So no concerns with here, but certainly the spaghetti model showing that feature is going to be crossing over those islands before it makes its turn to the north. Some of the models are slowing it down. Right now the wind shear is stronger, but it will weaken, so we may still see a strong storm. So now as for advisories here, you can see that there are tropical storm warnings and tropical storm watches for a lot of the islands. This is not for the Virgin Islands, though. It's all of the islands to the east of the Virgin Islands and all the way down midway through into the Windward Islands for that matter. So there are going to be some impacts. Now we're on the other side of Mexico. This is Mexico. This is in the Pacific. The reason I'm showing you this is the stronger storm. It's not quite as organized as yesterday. This is Norma, and Norma is going to be moving in toward the Baja. Let's look at this forecast. So this is going to wind up and bring heavy rain starting Friday night into, yes, Cabo San Lucas, if it might be one of your favorite vacation locations, but take a look. It's going to just sit here and produce some torrential rain, so there will be flash flooding in through the Baja, but it will be weakening storm. So it still hangs around, though, to bring heavy rain, so flash flooding is going to be a threat. Not so much here. Look at here, Florida. Next 7 days, we're not expecting the rain, so you might need to water the lawn. Boy, we could use some of that tropical moisture just to get in here. But for the rest of the day, we have an onshore wind, so 79 to 80 for our temperatures at the coast, low 80s in inland locations. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, and possibly this evening we could get a sprinkle because the front is approaching. But it might be hard to find the front looking at the 7-day because the temperatures aren't dropping. It's not like the last front. I put a 10% chance in for Friday, but what we're talking about is this sprinkle this evening and a sprinkle tonight. So it's pretty much less than 10%. But that's it for the rain chance. That's the best rain chance. So our morning on Saturday is still going to be warm because the front will move through in the morning. The morning low temperatures get a chance to drop because the dew points will be edging down, but the temperatures are not. Those are going to be moving up, so do expect that it will be a warm week all the way through the middle of the week. Here's a look now at your pollen forecast, brought to you by Famous State Appliance and Bedding Centers. 6.5 for today, Saturday and Sunday at 6. Here's Clystron 9.
Make up our community, and we love to bring you those stories.
And of course, we're going to have your weather on the 9's forecast. Join us for your evening news, weeknights starting at 5 on Spectrum Bay News 9
and on the Spectrum News app.
It's an event for the eyes and ears. Candlelight concerts bring a live multi-sensory musical experience to unique locations where music has probably not been played before.
In today's Florida on a Tank Full, Randy Roush takes us to Winter Park, where candlelight and musicians come together. Prices range from $30 to $60 depending on the venue, program, and zone. Guests need to be 8 years old or older. We have more information for you on baynews9.com, including some upcoming Halloween-themed performances.
Thanks for joining us here on Spectrum Bay News 9. At the top of the hour, we'll tell you why the Skyway is lighting up purple all weekend. Stay with us.
Here's a look at what's happening in our community, brought to you by Brandon Ford. Find the biggest selection at the world's largest volume Ford truck dealer.